time, yeah. Making a difference, one cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. This is tea time, yeah. Making a difference, one cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. So be sure to grab your tea, grab a seat, and tune in to Miss Liz. Tea time, making a difference, one cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. Tea time, time.
Well, welcome, and we are here for the evening tea time, the last tea time of this week, June 22nd, 2023. We're almost at the end of June, half a year already gone by, and I have the amazing Karen O'Connor in the house. She is in the studio, and she's all the way from Australia. That's right. This morning we were in the United States, and this afternoon in Canada. Now we're in Australia, and she's originally from Peru. So we're bringing two countries with Karen. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about speaking authentically. That's right. Who is our authentic selves? And what do we actually bring to the table? So Karen is going to talk about all that good stuff. But before we get started, we're going to do all the good stuff, disclaimers, bios, and we're going to get Karen in here, and she's going to spill us a good, strong TEA all the way from Australia. And if you haven't checked out, Miss Liz's books are back there, and Australia is in book 3. So again, Australia is close to my heart. So let's get started. Disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live shows. Miss Liz, myself, is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment, please grant StreamYard permission to see your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that the content brought forward for any Tea Time show hosted by Miss Liz, myself, is always brought forward in good faith. However, may bring forward dialogues and opinions that are not representative of my platform. The facts and information are perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All Tea Time guests and audience participants are responsible for using their good judgment in taking any action that may relate to the discussion. The content brought forward may include discussions for some where they may be emotionally at risk. It is significant to know that this show is engaging in discussions forums only to offer and inspire awareness and connection and is not providing therapeutical advice. If you have any questions about the disclaimer or the panelist discussion, you may freely contact me, Miss Liz, through my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com. Moving forward, should you choose to voluntarily participate in tonight's show in any aspect, I myself, Miss Liz, welcomes you. And should you decide that the show is not made for you at this time, I respect your wishes and will see you at a later show or at a later date and time. And again, all tea times are done on Thursday this year in 2023, unless they are a rescheduled tea time, which will be done on a Monday or a Tuesday. So now let me give you a little bit on Karen, the incredible Karen O'Connor. She's sitting in the back and she's ready to come and spill tea. And let's just get it out there. So grab your tea, grab your coffee, grab a glass of wine. You do not have to drink tea when you sit and listen to Tea Time. So Karen O'Connor is a transformational speaker, coach, mentor, and international best-selling author. She is based in Western Australia, but is originally from Peru in South America. She is passionate about helping people develop the confidence and skills to effectively communicate their message of presence to others. With certifications in public speaking, neuro-linguistic programming, and coaching, Karen provides strategies, guidance, and proven practice to help her audience and clients overcome their fear of speaking in public and develop the confidence to own the value of their message. Her practical and down to earth approach, combined with her caring nature, makes her a dramatic speaker with the ability to inspire and motivate others to take action and transform their lives. And you can get all of that good stuff on Miss Liz's Facebook page. Now let me get Karen in here so she can spill tea from Australia. Welcome, Karen.
Hello, Miss Liz, and thank you so much for that amazing intro and the video. I can't believe you found that Peruvian or Andean music as well. So it's very beautiful and a pleasure to be here with you. And I'm just gonna say it is early morning for me, so I am having a cup of coffee to wake up. 7 a.m. here in Western Australia when we're starting, and of course is evening for you guys in the other side of the world. But this is the beauty of the internet, isn't it? It can keep us all connected wherever we are.
Absolutely. We're coming in from Canada and Australia, so two different countries, and we're getting to sit and we're getting to spill a strong cup of tea. Something that we don't really speak about is authentic, the authenticity of ourselves and the confidence and all of that. So I really want to get into that. But Karen, I want to know a little bit about who Karen is as a little girl to who Karen is now as the older lady.
I think I want to start, and this is something that I have not shared before. Peru, as with perhaps many other Latin American countries and many others, it's very much a culture where we grew up, everybody's sort of worrying about what they will think, just trying to fit in, make sure you dress appropriately to where you're going, you do the right thing. And so, being the oldest daughter, being the oldest in my family, even if from my cousins, that was very much ingrained in me. And it's only when I came to Australia in my mid 20s that I realized that Australia is a lot very much laid back and very, very different. And then I realized that the contrast and how much you could get to be yourself without having to worry about, is this going to be right? Am I wearing the right things? Is my hair done right? All those things, especially as women. So even that just started to shift, and having that awareness, and obviously my own personal experience, that's a full-on story, but that's what brought me to start sort of shifting and trying to get out of that mold. But I want to just add here that I believe really authenticity is a journey. It's not, you don't flip a switch and you say, okay, now I'm good, because throughout our life, we have been conditioned, whether it's through relationships, through society, through parenting, and we keep putting this mask, and we keep, as humans, we're social creatures. We want to belong, we want to fit in, we want to be understood, and we want to be loved. So how, by doing that, we're sometimes compromising, what we would really like to say, how we really feel, and that starts shifting. So that's what I think I'm very passionate of this journey. It's just a journey of self-discovery, to not just find your authentic self or your voice, but also the confidence to start speaking from that place.
And you just mentioned the word confidence. That has a lot to do with authenticity, because when you walk into a room, if you're not confident, your authenticity it's like you're holding back. So can you share a little bit about confidence and the importance of it?
Sure. I think that a lot of us don't sometimes speak what we really think because the fear of being judged or from previous past experience. So our brains are amazing, and it's a defense mechanism, right? It's trying to keep us safe. Don't want you to be hurt. So don't, show too much, don't share too much, don't express how you feel. I mean, it happens even in relationships, right? And so we get used to living like that. And to me, the discovery is one thing. So to begin listening to that voice that comes from within, that sometimes just turns to a whisper because it's been buried. But then once you know, what happens is it already triggers that stress response, that anxiety, that worry. And so that's what I find it's the beauty of combining with the NLP training and the mindset sort of work that you can do to just really learn to calm your nervous system so that you can feel okay to speak from that place. Because at the end of the day, one of the things that I share is not never is everybody going to like what you have to say. So if you're prepared for that, people have the right to their own opinion, right? And the fact that somebody doesn't agree with what you're saying doesn't make it wrong. And I feel I was working a lot with starting coaches and female coaches and heart-centered people that love, to help others. And what happens, and it's the same thing that happened to me sometimes, is the people around you don't speak your language, right? The people around you don't understand your work, don't know, they might not be as spiritual, they might not believe in, law of attraction, in whatever it is that it's your jam. And so we talk to them, and if somebody like that, they love you, right? But they don't get it.
Yeah.
So, oh, that's too risky, oh, I don't agree, and then all of a sudden you think, oh, well, then I better not say that. But there's a whole world out there with people that do believe what you believe and will agree with what you have to say. So don't let just the inner circle of your influence, if it's not the right audience, to stop you from really sharing your message. I think that's really important, because that holds people back. And I found that myself. I have a very supportive husband, but there's a few things that, don't talk to me about that law of attraction and energy, because if I can think about that, it's not going to materialize. And I get that, right?
Yeah.
So it's also really something to consider, because when you start thinking like that, then you go, okay, all I got to do is share with the right people. Okay. And that starts sort of shifting as well, and being prepared to, there'll be other people that won't agree with it and won't accept it, but that doesn't make you wrong.
So we have a comment here from a viewer. It's insane what happens when one is truly present, aligned with oneself and our values, and have a passion for what we share.
Thank you so much for that, Tora. Truly appreciate it, and I agree. And I think one of the things that I love about the internet is that we end up connecting with people from all over the world, and we find that common ground, right? It doesn't matter if you're in Australia, in Europe, in South America, there are going to be people that agree and share your same values. And now it allows us to connect, and that's where we can form amazing communities, and that's what they can later turn into, whether you want to do it as a business, either a client or a supportive community, somebody that is going to be in your corner when you feel like you've got no one to talk to.
So I want to get into, you mentioned shifting, Karen. So we shift into different groups and different supporters, like you said, like your husband is very supportive, but for certain things it's like, I don't want to, so we have to find our different groups and our right people for different things. And it's okay that our spouses don't get us for certain things. It just gives us more opportunity to spread our wings and go to different people for those topics and those issues. Correct. So I want to talk about shifting. What does shifting mean for you?
What an interesting question. I think the best way I can address that, I think now, is with an example. Sometimes I decided in 2020 that I wanted to start a business doing this and sharing what I had learned and part of what had been my journey. And then you go, okay, now it's all online because it was COVID. So I had to learn to be online so I spend a lot of time learning, and I spend a lot of time learning about marketing and learning, all these things to do with the business. And then you realize that the essence of what you wanted sometimes gets lost, right? Because I'm doing less of what I want and more of the other thing that is taking me in a world that you
don't
start
even
on one
enjoy
thing.
anymore.
Yeah, and you start on one thing and then the other and then the other. And then I started working with studying female coaches. And then I think for the last probably 6 months, I've been thinking more and more. There've been a couple of people that have been a very strong influence, because I realized that I was spending most of my time online. I was on my phone all the time trying to respond to comments. See, one of the tricky things, because where I live, I'm actually 12 or 13 hours ahead of EST.
Yeah.
And so early morning and evening or night are the times where I can connect with people in the US, right? But that's my family time. That's my sleeping time. And so I was up from 6 o'clock in the morning and staying online till about midnight. And even though we were watching telly as a family or something, I was replying to DMs. And all that movement and momentum and work wasn't even necessarily yielding, clients, because I'm the kind of person that loves to just be there. If you have a question, I love to just, I'm reactive. I love to just answer, help you, come to me. And so that was just so draining. And in the meantime, you feel all that pressure to be there for everybody. And even from a point of view financially, that wasn't even bringing the income. Now, I know you can do AI and automation and all that other thing, right? That's okay. But I also like the real connections. And that's why now I have people that I met or work with 2-3 years ago when I started, and they still ever so often, oh wow, like so nice to see you. And I'll be showing live. You don't get that if you're a robot, right? It's but so to me, what I decided to shift is, do I really want to do all that? Or do I really want to hone in and get back to just help people and don't worry about the business? Because see, it's getting onto another topic, but this is where it got into me being authentic. Am I going to talk about being successful as a business or growing a successful business if mine isn't? Right?
Exactly.
Mine isn't making 6 figures. So we tend to focus on the wrong things, I feel. And so I think now I want to really hone in and get back to the shift in what I'm most passionate about, is to really help people reconnect with their authentic voice and have the confidence to speak from that place, which can be at a job interview, which can be with their partners, which can be in their business if they want, right? Or if they're a manager presenting. So to me, that is the essence of what I love and how I want to help. So for the last 6 months, I ran my last workshops, I think, up to the end of January. And then I said to my community, I said, I'm going to take a break. I'm focusing on family. Had shift with a daughter moving back home. We have a granny flat that my husband and I are building, like physically actually building. So, and I've got a job still. So I'm working, in my time off, we're doing the granny flat. And so it was so nice to not have to think that every spare minute I had to be online.
Yep.
And it just felt like, wow. And now enough time has passed that I'm missing those connections, right? Sometimes they pop up and say, oh, we really miss you. And, so I'm gearing to get back, but I think my focus and my energy is going to show up differently, because it's going to be to that core essence of find your voice, and let's speak from that place. And I want to add something that I heard from Brené Brown in her book, The Power of Vulnerability, that really got me thinking. Something that I've been posting about a bit earlier this year is we have got to a point in our society and in the online world where it's almost like if you're not changing the world, you're not enough, right? And says who?
Right.
And why could you not just be an authentic person that has an amazing family, do great in your community, help your neighbor, and have a good life? You can have a story, you can have a passion, you can have a purpose just by doing that, right? It doesn't have to be in the great scale. It doesn't have to be 10K months,
Well, and I think
and I
that's something
think
that
that's what we got lost.
I think that's where you're, Karen, is for so long we were thrown in our face that money was success. We forgot that people, connections, the authentic connection on one, the impact that we do with the change in life. And I see that in you. And I've been watching you up until the tea time, saying, you know what, I need to be my true self. If we're not our true selves, how are we able to help others, right? If we're just making the dough or making the money, but we're not truly happy within ourselves, we're just doing it for the paycheck. Well, then no, don't do it. Then,
Yeah.
I'd rather see the Karen that impacts one life at a time than Karen who makes 10,000 and is miserable, because money is not success. Money is not happiness. Yes, it gets you fancy things and it gets you to not struggle. But sometimes life struggles are actually what's empowering us to move and grow ourselves. So that's why I really wanted to have you on Tea Time. I wanted you to bring the table of speaking authentically. And that's what you're doing tonight is you're speaking authentically. You were saying, you know what? I need a break. I need to find what fills my cup. And when I come back, my cup is going to be completely different than what you're all expecting. And that's okay because you're coming back as the Karen that you should be.
Yeah. And that's, you brought another interesting point about the filling your cup. We end up being so drained, doing it for everybody. Thank you, Thor. That what about us? And we've been sold that idea that is selfish. But you can't, if you don't look after yourself, if you don't replenish yourself, if you don't feel happy, how can you give that out? Right? That you get to a point when there's nothing more to give, and then there's no surprise, there's overwhelm, and there's stress, and there's depression, and because we change, somebody put it really nicely, it's like we've changed one hamster wheel for another, right?
Yep.
Everybody says, oh, get off the 9 to 5 hamster wheel. And I said, well, you're getting onto another. Yes, there might be a time where all that energy and all that effort in your business might make you a consistent income and you're good. But what are you trading off? And at any time, what are you trading off, right? Like now, my daughter, our child is a teenager, and it's the time to spend time with her, because soon not going to be an option, right? Be moving out. And now we're building a granny flat for my mother-in-law, who is a widow. And if we don't do it now, we need to finish it. So that's taking, so what is important for me now, the people that know me in my community support me and understand.
Yeah.
So I urge everybody that is in business, and might be controversial, is to actually think, do you really want to run a business? Because there's nothing to say that your passion has to be your main source of income.
Yep.
Right? And this is something that we tend to use the labels. And Brené Brown also said, like, this really stuck with me, because she said she was interviewing, being a researcher, she interviews a lot of people, and she said, I was talking to this lady, she bought a pair of earrings from an Etsy, and they were beautiful earrings, and got to talk to her, and he said, that's wonderful, and he said, so how are you, and what do you do? And she goes, I think it was, I'm an accountant. And I go, but you are a jeweler. I just bought a pair of earrings from you. Oh, no, I do that on the side. Well, no. Then you're an accountant and a jeweler, right? And you can be an author and a musician, even if you're not, selling records. Because what makes you an author? The fact that you write, or the fact that you sell books? Or what makes you a musician? The fact that you play music and do what you love, or that you have a music contract, or that do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think that's what we've lost, and because of that, then we feel we're not enough.
Well, I think that's
And
where the
that
lack
not
of confidence comes in too, right? If we don't
and I
have,
was gonna say,
how can we be authentic, right?
exactly, and that's what I was gonna say. That feeling that we're not enough is what makes us shy away from speaking our truth, because we think, oh, who am I to talk about this? Or who am I to, play this song on YouTube if I'm only just playing because I like it? It was like, well, so what?
Well,
And
that's it.
and the truth is, the people that do that, that's how they start. Because everybody started without followers and without uh, wonderful. We everybody started from ground zero.
Yep.
It's just that we compare ourselves, and that level of comparison is what I think is causing so much damage, because we don't use it to say, oh, wow, look at what's possible. We use it to say, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get there.
Yep.
So, of course, it is a mindset issue, but if you use comparison as a divide, it's never going to work for you.
Yeah.
So, I'm really very much about supporting each other, and really working together. So when I run my programs and my group programs, there's no criticism. It's a safe space. Everybody gets to speak and share what is right for them. And we improve by focusing on what's right, what's working, what you said that really touched me, and do more of that, right? So yes, you got to improve, right? You learn some pointers, but we don't, because all our systems, and even since education in school, are geared towards pointing out what's wrong, because we think that, oh, if you improve this, you'll be better. But we forget that sometimes, especially when it starts from an early age, just diminishes your confidence, and then you'll be just speaking less and less, because, well, if I'm wrong, I'm going to be told off, so I won't say anything. And that's the problem. And I think that's where a lot of this lacking confidence to speak comes from, because everybody's had a bad experience even since we were little, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think society tries to tell us that success is money, success is business, success is the degrees and the certificates. But what about the success story of getting out of bed, feeding your family, overcoming an illness? Those are all success stories, you know? And
Yes.
how about us putting people before profit? Because the profit will come after the people. You build that relationship with people. And I tell this to everyone that comes on Tea Time. Miss Liz is not worried about the profit. I want to get to know my guest. I want to know them at their relationship, why they do what they do. And I heard you on a past Tea Time guest, Nelia Hutt's platform,
Oh,
and I was like,
yes.
I
She's
need to know
wonderful.
Karen. Like I just felt like, no, I need to understand Karen a little bit more, and that's why I reached out, and I was like, Karen, I would like you to come and have tea with me, because I felt that there was something in you that needed to come out to share to people, to be their true authentic selves. Even the words speaking authentically are powerful words. you know just
Yeah.
saying that 5 times, speaking authentically, actually makes an impact. And that's what I heard when you were with Nelia. And Nelia is an amazing woman too. Like the two of you
She's wonderful.
together, I was like, oh wow. And this is how I find guests sometimes. I listen to other podcasts, I listen to other people's platforms, and we grow each other, by supporting each other. So I want to get into, because you had brought
Absolutely.
up some questions with some of your posts that you put for Tea Time. So I want to talk about those tonight. So you had
Mhm.
mentioned happy life enough? So I want to get into
Yeah.
that.
And I think that comes from, um, thank you. I think that comes from the comment that I just made before, that we have been sold the idea that, you know, if you are passionate about helping others, and that whether it's coaching or speaking, life of service, then it's all you gotta grow, you gotta share your message with more, you gotta. And I start to wonder as well, when you see the big ticket items, the Tony Robbins, the Dean Graciosa, is that, are they really doing it to share the message with more, or are they really doing? And for me, it's never been about the money, because you get to a point, seriously, even if you have a few million, right? You have more than enough to last you the lifetime. When you have your house, your vehicles, I love to travel. My family lives overseas still, everybody's in Peru. So I like to have money, to be having the flexibility to travel, right? But that's it. If you have 10 million, 50 million, 100 million, like what? Like, what are you going to do with that? And yes, you could build a hospital, you start getting into, but there's a handful of people that do those things. And that's a different type of project. If you like the idea of being a real business, grow a business and a CEO, and that's great. It was never my passion or my intention. So it goes back to, do what is right for you. And don't think that if you don't have a business that makes $1 million, that you're less than somebody who does.
Yeah.
Because you could be amazingly helping your community. You could be the parent that stands out at school, and speaks about changes that are going to benefit your children. Like, there's no money attached to that. There's no, you can't put dollars and cents to that. And this is a beautiful story. I remember listening to Tony Robbins, his ex-father-in-law, I believe it was. He said, lived in a small town, and he was, because Tony's like so big, like he was nothing, but he said he was just a good man. And when he died, he said there was not a single person on that small community that didn't go to his funeral and had a nice word to say about him, because he was always out on his porch with a smile, greeting somebody, gardening, helping. Isn't that a wonderful life? And he was happy doing that. Yeah,
Definitely.
shouldn't
And
that be
happiness
enough?
doesn't have to be $1 million. You could be the poorest person in the world and have the biggest heart, and be
Yeah.
happy.
And we just need to then get back to that idea that that should be enough,
Yeah.
right? That is enough. And I think when we start getting shifting, then this is the shift again, to that perspective, then the business sense and the business level becomes irrelevant. Because yes, by all means, if you want to grow and spread and that's for you, great. I'll be happy if I got paid to speak on stages internationally, even if somebody just paid me for the airfare, the hotel, and do you know what I mean? And to have people there listening and knowing that I can contribute. That's enough. Like, I wouldn't have to be paid for speaking, because that's what I love. So find what you love, and if you have a chance to get paid for that, or get a way to to help you out financially, because the reality is we do need money. We all have to pay for, living and food and whatnot. Then make it work. But if you do have a job and can do music on the side or a podcast or whatever it is that fills your cup and you really love and enjoy and helps you grow, and if you're happy with that, then let that be enough. Don't think that it's any less of you because you're not successful or because you're not number one on the ranking or because you're not making $1 million. And I think that would lead to happier lives because we take all that pressure away.
So Karen, you're talking about a cup. So I want to know what's in your cup. So if I ask you what tea you're giving me tonight, what 3 words would you give me?
Okay, I think my number one is and has always been freedom. Freedom is super important for me. And authenticity, even though it's still a journey, and connections. I love connecting with people. So my 3 biggest passions are traveling and connecting with people. And because experiences, I thrive on experiences. So if I have money, it's to do things, not to buy things, except for an airfare. But this is the
one experience we want to try, right? We have our bucket list. We all have bucket lists and that. And Karen, troubling. I like that word troubling because we look at words differently, right? The perspective. When you hear troubling, you think, oh, that's heavy. That's no. But troubling means that you're troubling to move forward, to get the experience.
Yeah, and I mean, sorry, and it's traveling as in travel, because I love, and I have done a lot of it, and I stopped for the last few years, so I'm getting back, because for me, I love change, so different places, but really connecting with the people. Like when I traveled through Europe for about a year, many years ago, we lived there. It was in a van. It didn't matter, right? Because I got to see places, we got to make friends, we got invited to people's houses. You don't get that as a tourist. And I think this is the main difference that the people who love traveling say, you can be a traveler or you can be a tourist. And I've never been a tourist. I don't go to a place to go to the best museums and stay at the best hotels. I go to a place to experience it.
To be a troublemaker.
Yeah, not necessarily. No.
What did you learn over there in Europe? Oh, I don't know. I got myself in trouble.
No. It was just so beautiful. And I love languages as well. So I like to always pick up a few words and I feel you get a deeper level of connection with the real people rather than just staying at hotels where everybody's going to be speaking in English and geared to the tourists. So, yeah.
No, I like that. And I love that word troubling because it makes you change your perspective of the way you look at it, and being a troublemaker is not bad. Like all of my guests today have some little rebel in them that they want to just push out of their comfort zone to do things that feed their passion and purpose in life. And that's what I get from you, Karen, is I get that, I don't want to be that tourist. I don't want to just say, I went to that country. I did that. You want to be that troubling person who asks the questions. Oh, well, where's the best mom and pop shop? Where's the flea market? I want to know the community. I want to know the culture. I'm the same way. If I travel to a different country, I will always go and look for the mom and pop shops, the little family oriented shops and flea markets and bakeries and stuff like that, because that's where the passion is. That's where the heart is. Because everyone's
absolutely
used to tourists. Like the tourism comes in all the time. So they're used to those people. So you come in and you bring a little different. So you bring a little bit of trouble and you're like, hey, help me.
Yeah. And something I didn't say, that I love nature as well. So that's to me, I always go to, and I'm blessed enough to now live in a smallish town in Western Australia. So I don't live in Perth, the main city. I live 2 hours away. And so we're by the coast. surrounded by trees. So it is a sort of semi-rural area. So I do get to have wildlife around, and yeah, that's really beautiful.
Yeah, let's get a little bit into Australia and Peru. I want to know a little bit because I want to be that troubler, and I want to know a little bit. So you live in
Sure.
Australia now. I want to know about the eucalyptus trees. Have you seen a eucalyptus tree in person?
Oh yeah, they're all around. They're called gum trees here. They're called gum trees. Um, and yeah, there's depending on the area that you are in, there's different varieties, but there's a lot of native trees. And where I live in an acre, so the properties around here, an acre, 5 acres, 10 acres. So it is a suburb, but it is very much like there's hardly any street lights. There's a lot of trees around, so it's kept to be that rural feel, which is beautiful. So we get black cockatoos, we get a lot of lorikeets, we get geckos and lizards and spiders. You can't go without. There's kangaroos in the area. Don't always come to the house, but we had one come to the backyard a few weeks back because we don't put fences. So yeah, so it's just really lovely. If you go for a walk, it's peaceful, and there's always something. So I love listening into just as a way to relax. And this is perhaps if I can tie in two things as far as the confidence speaking. The way to find your confidence is to also change your state and calm your nervous system. So if you are going to do things you enjoy, like go for a walk in nature, for example, you can that can be relaxing, and do that before you're going to show up live. And then take a deep breath before you go live. But when I go, I love to listening to the different sounds of the birds, and then you start being more present. And again, that's another way to get back into you. Because when we get nervous, it's because we're too much in our head. We're worried about, what if I forget? What if I stuff up? What if I make a mistake? What if they don't like it? All the what ifs, right? And instead of thinking, once we start connecting with our body, our senses, and our feelings, then you get to a different place and you can speak from there. Yeah.
Well, the reason that I brought up the gum tree is because it's in my book, The Gum Tree for Australia, because there is a gum tea. It's called the Billy tea, and it's made with the gum tree. And the gum tree is actually a rainbow kind of rainforest tree where it's multiple colors. And it's almost like how we are as individual people. We are different. We are unique. It is okay if one person says, "Oh, I want to do this business," encourage that person to do that business, but don't direct them to do it. It's like you've been saying all night, Karen, is if you want to build a business, build a business. If you want to do something that you're passionate about and make it a hobby, make it a hobby. It doesn't make you any less of a person. And that's how the gum tree represents for me. Because when I looked at that tree, when I wrote it in my book, was to show the uniqueness in the world, that we all can be different, but we can all still stand and be confident and be proud of ourselves, because trees are proud, right? Yes. They stand tall. So that's why I went to the gum tree. If anyone's wondering where Miss Liz was going with that gum tree,
that's beautiful.
Because I wanted to show that when we're confident, we stand proud.
Yes, and that.
Ourselves.
Sorry, and talking about trees, that remind me, and I did a post a while back. I might find it and repost it again today for people that can go after listening in. Okay, thank you, Tor. I would love that. We'll connect on the DMs if you like. And it is, well, I don't know the actual official name, but it's the paperbark tree. And yes. I have a photo. I was in one of my morning walks, and there's a time of year when they start peeling off, and you can see the paper thin, and it was like in and in and in and in, about that thick. And I did a post on that on authenticity. because it's like peeling the layers,
Yeah.
and all the layers and layers and layers, but inside is the hard, solid core. That is the essence of the tree, and it's the same with us. We feel that you say, okay, I had an experience, I had a relationship where I felt like I had lost myself and my voice, and that's really the time that I go back to when I share my story about authenticity. And even though that was over 30 years ago, I realize now I'm still peeling layers, right? Because it's like when people talk about, I want to be the best version of myself. And I said, well, that's bullshit. By definition, the best is unattainable. Because if you're still alive, you can keep getting better, right?
Yep.
So it's, I want to be better than what I was, and I want to be more authentic than what I was, and that's the pursuit. Because it's like having that idea of perfection that is never really going to happen. We can always just achieve to be better than, and it's always with ourselves, not better than somebody else. It's just better than I was. So that's the journey, and I think that's something that came around with the tree as well. But one thing that I wanted to share, because it recently, literally, I just yesterday was listening to an interview of an impact theory. I don't know if you follow Tom Bu. It's amazing. It's called Impact Theory. He's very, very successful, and he's all about the guests that will help and be the best in human behavior and human like peak performance. So whether it's health, wellness, mindset, business, he runs successful business. Yeah, I know, Tom's amazing. And he did this interview with Dr. Gabor Mate. I heard his name, but I hadn't heard of him before. And his work is all about, I'm going to paraphrase, but basically the way society is now, the norm, this sort of striving and this, it's making us sick. We're living in a society where there's more autoimmune illnesses, there's more stress, more anxiety, more overwhelm, depression, all those mental health illnesses, all these things. And he said they're just physically a response, from us suppressing who we really are and what we really feel. And that to me was a shock and a realization. Yes, I've known that stress really, it's underlying cause for many, many illnesses. But he made that connection of when we suppress something, we're holding it back, right? So we're holding back our emotions, we're holding up expressing ourselves, because that comes since little kids, right? If you're crying or you're throwing a tantrum, your parents tell you to be quiet or go to your room, or right. So we are basically told by the people that love us most that we love you if you behave this way. If and we all do. I mean, I've done it to my own child, right? We do it without realizing we're doing it because we think that is the right way. Kids should behave. And so they've done studies that the people that get those illnesses and cancers are the people that are too nice, that always do things for others, that don't take care of themselves, that don't have boundaries, that can't express their feel. Because all these bottle up is not just emotional, it's affecting us physically, because all our systems are connected, right?
Yep.
And I had cancer 3 years ago. So in 2020, that was my year, and I used my mindset and all my training and all my learnings to get through that experience and grow. I knew that it wasn't going to defeat me, but looking back, I feel that I'm still learning that lesson. Because in my business, when I started running it, I'm still trying to be there for everybody. And I didn't set boundaries. And I'm still, because, and this is being 100% super honest, and I've not shared this before, because for me, I'm a person that, the love languages, I love acts of service. Is for me the way that I feel like I care for the people I love. But to what extent? So I'll give you this so that you love me. I do this for you so that you appreciate me. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
We don't say it, but that's the expectation. And some people will and some people won't, right? Some people just take it as a given, some people, but coming from that perspective is what's hurting us. Because I could say, and it's hurting them as well, because sometimes they want to do it themselves. They need to surpass that challenge. It's like when you have a little kid and it's taking too long to tie the shoelaces, because it's just learning, and you tell them, oh, don't worry, I'll do it, just because you want to get out the door.
Yep.
But you're depriving them from that experience and from that growth and creating stress. And so that's been my life. And that's where I'm coming to the point that I think that I'm going to go back full circle. And I say, I need to go back to work on myself. And I want to share that journey with others. So let's get back to, let's work on authenticity. Let's work on connecting. And yes, there will be a fee if somebody wants to work with me, but I'm not doing it the business strategy and the this and that, because you can go two ways. So if you really want to have a business, you got to run it as a business, not as a hobby. And I totally agree. But I have been on two minds. Is that what I really want to do?
Yeah.
Or do I want to keep my 6-figure job that still gives me free time and the freedom that I want, and do this business because I love it? And if it grows, and I believe it will, if I do it with love and dedication, then there'll come a time when that grows more than my job and I quit my job, right? Do you know what I mean? But do it for the right reasons, not because you think you have to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Whew, that was big.
No, and this is what we need to do, is we need to learn to listen. Like when we have guests on, we need to let them talk. We let them express. They're the ones coming to us with the message. You're coming to me with the message, And Karen, that's why I've been watching you, and I've been watching you even before the week of promotions. I'm that little watcher. I watch my guests and I do my homework on you all, and I know that you have a transformational journey coming that's going to be really authentic. It's going to be different than what people are expecting from you. And it's that fear of, will they judge me because I'm doing it this way now? Will they judge me because I'm doing it that way now? We're going to get judged if we do it or if we don't do it. So we might as well just do it the way that our heart is telling us to do it. Just be your authentic self. Karen, you're an amazing woman. You have done amazing things. You have helped so many people, and having you as a guest has opened the door of speaking authentically, spilling your tea. You could have gave me like transformation, empowerment, and all that, but you gave me troubling experiences and authenticity. You gave me what was your cup. You gave me the real Karen, and that's what I want. I want real Karen. And Karen's coming, guys, so pay attention. Karen's going to be coming, and she's going to come with something different. You might not be ready for different, but that's okay, because Karen's different. We're all different. We're all uniquely different. And Karen, I see a lot of good things coming for you, because you have the passion, you have the heart, and you will make that difference. So again, if anybody would like to reach out to you, Karen, how can they reach out to you?
Sure. So I am more active on Facebook, and you can find me in my business page is Speaking Authentically. And if you can, from there, just connect through Karen O'Connor. I am also on YouTube, and I'm going to be doing more YouTube videos. So you can connect through there as well. or my email, which is the easy and guaranteed way, is karen@speakingauthentically.com. I want to also have a little caveat. My website, of course, is speakingauthentically.com. And I was updating yesterday the workshops. I am not a fan of technology. And for some reason, I think the one about finding your voice hasn't come up with any of the upcoming date or the description or anything at all. So if you click on it, like right the second we finish, it won't be there yet. So give it a little bit, because I'll finish the interview and I'll have a wonderful little chat backstage with Miss Liz, and I'll get back to fixing that, because I don't know what happened. Only the one on confidence and presenting with confidence is showing up as coming up in July. So that would be my workshops, and I love to do them online. I do them in Zoom live. It's really hard for me to find a time that works for everybody, because I'm on the other side of the world. That's the same reason why I don't have a Calendly with an appointment link opened up, because I much rather coordinate on DMs and make myself available at a time that is going to suit us both. If it has to be the weekend, I don't mind, because I can choose to work a couple of hours on the weekend and have that call. That's not a problem. But if I'm trying to fit everybody in, I don't want to block every single night if I don't have to. So, I do things differently. You come to me, let's talk, and we'll work something out, that's for sure.
Well, and that's what I love about you, Karen, is you do it differently. I'm the same way. I don't believe in the calendar. Everybody asks me, Miss Liz, what dates you got? It's every Thursday, 10, 3, and 7 p.m., and it's paper and pen. Miss Liz does not trust technology when it comes to booking.
I got the same.
That's how I am too. Like, I am all paper and pen, guys. So if you're asking for my link to book on a tea time, it's on the website, but I'm going to eventually put it in paper and pen, because I do not trust the technology when it comes to booking anything. I'm learning that. But Karen, any final words before we wrap up tonight?
For those who feel they already have a message and they just want the confidence, if I may just share, I sort of shared a little bit about do something that you love, that is going to relax you before you go on stage. But also something very simple that you can do is put some music and dance. Like, really move your body, feel it, because when you feel happy and excited, you're going to show up differently and you are going to be in a different place. You forget about, every time that you're going to sit up in front of the camera, just think about, what do I want to share today? And go from there. And yes, have a couple of pointers if you do have a couple of important things you don't want to miss, but that's it. I don't believe in scripted. That's what I don't like, just the presenting formally or the voice or the pitch or that. There's coaches for that. I believe in just share what comes. And that's what I love about your teas as well, Miss Liz. And the first thing you said is there won't be any scripted questions, nothing, because it has to come from the moment. And I think that's where we get the most value of, and that's what people are craving, is the real, genuine conversations. And if we can inspire each other to be better and join forces and help each other, then that's what I'm all about. So thank you for having me.
Oh, not a problem. It was an honor having you. And it was an honor having Tor in studio with us and leaving comments and encouragement. And because that's what it is, right? It's support for support. When we learn to support one another with no hidden agendas, we're just coming in, we're saying, this happens to me too. I'm confused. Tor is going to be reaching out to Karen. If you got anything from this tea time, reach out to Karen. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me, Miss Liz, and I will get them to Karen. And this is how we do it on this tea time. We don't serve any programs or anything like that. We just serve authentic life stories on how we make a difference. And again, I'm in Australia, sitting in my rocking chair all the way in Canada. And this is how virtual land has really created a difference for everybody. So for everybody that would like to know more about Tea Time, you can check out Miss Liz's YouTube channel. Check out the website. It's www.misslizsteatime. There is a topic, a flavor of any kind in there. If there's not and you would like to see it on Tea Time, let me know. I will get that person to come on Tea Time. And again, Karen, I got you through Nelia. Like I seen you guys together, and I was like, I have to have Karen on. So again, I want to thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I want to
That's been
everybody.
wonderful. Yeah, and I want to say thank you everybody that show live, that turn on live. Thank you, Thor, for your wonderful comments. And I know that not everybody can tune in live, especially 7 p.m. maybe dinner time and that. So I will encourage everybody just to catch on the replay and reach out, and definitely follow Miss Liz's YouTube channel, because there's some amazing conversations in there. So thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much. And I will see everybody next Thursday, same time, same place, 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you just never know what country's coming in next from with Miss Liz. So until then, I want to tell everybody, just serve your tea, serve your true, authentic selves. And we will see everybody next Thursday for the last tea time of June of 2023.
Bye.